What's up, guys? Welcome back to Iron Mustang. On today's episode, we're going to be installing the Monte Carlo bar and the tower truss support brace from Total Control Products. Should be a pretty similar installation to the export tower brace that we installed earlier. I got the supercharger in place, so it's kind of time to finish this installation up and see if we can make it fit around it. So let's dive into it. All right, so let's get a quick little overview of the engine bay real quick here. You see we already got the tower export braces installed back there. The supercharger is in place. The Monte Carlo bar is going to come across right here. I do have adjustable engine mounts. I think my engine's sitting fairly far back compared to stock. Not really sure. I'd have to measure that, but you can see I got it at the same time. I have it as physically far forward as possible. It don't look like there's a gap in there, but there is. I'm going to kind of prep everything real quick here, kind of show you guys. Total Control Products does a bang up job, just like in the last video. All the kind of goldish colored nuts, those are the reverse threaded ones. And any of the bars that have the little texturing right here, little texturing, whatever you want to call it, that's the reverse threaded one. So we're going to prep all these parts out first and put some silver anti-seize on all the rod ends and get those threaded in, and then we'll jump into the rest of the installation. All right, so on the end of all our rod ends here, we're just going to use the silver anti-seize. We could use the gold, it's just the silver kind of blends in and doesn't look like it makes as big of a mess. All right, so let's look at this real quick before we jump into a time lapse. I am not overly in love with this, but this is supposed to get mounted right on this edge here, in this basic area, and up high enough where you don't want it up level with the top. You want to drop it down just a little bit to the edge of like the bull nose on the sheet metal. So you got a few things going on here though. You got a flat surface here, basically you got a line here, and then you got another line that kind of cuts up this way where it wedges itself in. So you should be able to see that on camera. Obviously right there is a horrible idea the farther you come forward, because it's going to tip it that way. So even with this piece of this seam right here, that's probably, actually I can see the seam right here, right there. It's probably about the farthest we can come forward this way and line up good. But it still puts us as a big old gap underneath there. This thing's already painted, but the farther back I come this way, it doesn't really improve. And I need to be as far forward as I can here to avoid hitting this. So I'm going to line it up here, poke the holes, and we're going to find out together how it comes out. All right, so they want us to mount the first one, torque it down, and then pretty much use the holes for guides. So I'm going to grab a torque wrench, put that up into place, torque it down, and then we'll drill the other ones. All right, so I was pretty concerned how this was going to turn out, but I torqued this down to 30 pounds. This had a really big like V'd gap underneath here. It tucked it in really nice. So I still got to come up from the bottom and drill my 2 holes through the top there. So we're just going to use those bottom holes as a guide and drill it from the bottom. All right, so I went ahead and slid these little clamps on so we can start getting this fitted. They won't slide over the end of the fitting. So I'm just gonna drop one bolt in the hole here,
just so we can kind of eye our position here. And this is going to have to kind of sit on this little lip right here, so I'm hoping it's going to compress it just a bit. So I'm gonna try to give myself a little bit of space here, so I got a little wiggle room, but so I'm thinking about right there is probably where we're gonna go. I'm gonna get my holes drilled, and we're gonna try to wrap this up. All right, so I honestly did think that this was gonna compress in just a little more. Back here on the back, I don't believe that it's touching. It's good right there. So I'll watch this. If I need to tighten it up over time, we'll go ahead and do that, but I think that's gonna work. So now I'm gonna drill the bracketry holes up through the top. So I'm gonna have to trim this bolt just a little shorter because we are contacting the top of this, but no big deal. I'm gonna knock it out real quick. So trimmed it down just a couple threads, and I think we're good to go. Now we're gonna go ahead and torque these bolts down. It says 40 pounds. All right, so for a standalone procedure, that's the entire process of installing the Monte Carlo bar. I torqued these down to 40 foot-pounds. As I said earlier, all the other hardware is 30. So the only thing we have left to do is just put this to length and tighten down our jam nuts. All right, so now all we got left to do is just to tie in our brace supports to our tube clamps that we already installed. So we got two different size bolts. The long ones go through the tube clamp, short ones go up front here. All right, now we're going to torque everything down to 30 foot-pounds. So the way I did this is I made these both the same exact length. I tightened the bottom one, the back ones down to the 30 foot-pounds, and then I've kind of just pre-tightened these. So I got a clamp on the bar, make sure that they look nice and flat, and I pushed them in together as far as I could, knowing that they were the same length. So everything looks pretty symmetrical. I'm happy with it. It doesn't really specify if these things are supposed to angle down or whatnot, so we're gonna roll with that, and it looks good to me. All right, so let's do a quick little overview of the system. I think it looks killer. Should really increase the handling of the vehicle. I did have to trim that bolt right there, but I do got some space. Right here, I am kind of up against the rubber boot, but I'm away from the tube there, so maybe I can just scoot my boot up a little bit. Honestly, that doesn't bother me. I got solid engine mount, so I should be good to go. Got good spacing underneath here for the most part. Let's see. Yeah, we're gonna be in good shape. I'm running those solid engine mounts, so this thing doesn't really kick around too much, and I'm really happy with it. And I'm very happy I didn't have to make any modifications to it to get it to fit. All right, guys, so that's gonna wrap that one up. Really like the way that turned out. I was glad I could get it installed without having to make any heavy modifications. I did have to wait till the supercharger was in to complete it, but I think we're in good shape. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'm gonna clean up this mess, and we're gonna get on to the next project.